Welcome back to the 406 Budcast, everybody. Make sure to like, follow, share, subscribe, and we'll be right back.
Montana vibes under the big sky. 406 Budcast gonna get you high. Adam and Tanaki and Nate bringing the heat. No time to wait. From the mountains to the plains, we're sparking up, break your chains. Every topic, every strain in this cannabis domain. 406 Budcast, let's celebrate. Rolling up, it's time to celebrate. Adam and Tanaki and Nate in Montana, we dominate. From the soul of the pillars, we're on the map. Lighting up the scene, ain't no cap. Hip-hop beats in the background as we drop knowledge profound. From CBD to THC, we're breaking down the chemistry in this podcast symphony. Come join our THC family.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back to the 406 Podcast, everyone. We are joined by a couple of guests tonight. We have a return guest, Calvin, on the couch, a home grower who just loves weed like the rest of us. And in addition, remote, we have Ed Doctor here from the Montana Retail Cannabis Association. We will get more into detail on that, as well as our normal crew. We have Tanaki, Hannah here on the couch, Nate, and then behind the desk today, we've got Adam and Michelle, of course. What is up, everyone in the chat? Hello, Bugs. Glad to see you already. And Facebook user, of course.
Well, Ed, welcome, and we appreciate you joining us here on the Budcast. It's been a long time since you and I had a good sit down and a talk, and we greatly appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, Nathan.
How you been, man?
Pretty good. We're fucking slammed right now in the bar. We have a funeral for the Democrats party, and the Flathead Valley Avalanche Association, they're having their party. So it's just packed in there.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
We appreciate you taking a short amount of time to talk cannabis with us real quick in between slinging drinks.
No problem. I need a break.
So can you give us a brief breakdown on, what the Montana Retail Cannabis Association is, what it's trying to accomplish, and just give us the 411 on it.
So I suppose about last March, I kind of thought, there's really nobody out there helping retail, specializing in retail during the last session. As a retailer, and I've been in business for 25 years in Montana, and no other industry I'm in is as hard as this one, as you guys all know. Yeah. So I kind of I was like, I think there needs to be a tavern association for marijuana dispensaries. So I actually called the Tavern Association, because I'm a member of that as well, because they have a great professional organization. I mean, they get a lot of things that go their way. So I started by asking John Iverson, he's the chief lobbyist. I was like, John, what about how about marijuana stores joining the Tavern Association? I know it might sound a little crazy, and he's like, Ed, that's really not that crazy. Let me get back to you on that. It'll take a couple of weeks, but I will. So probably in April, he's asked me to come to Helena and meet with him. He said he had something different, thought of something different. So he introduced me with a few other lobbyists, and decided to start the Montana Retail Cannabis Association. And basically, we're just mirroring what they're doing for retail establishments as far as bars. I noticed with my bar, I get inspected once every 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
No fines ever. Yeah. And in the dispensary, I'm getting, it all the time. Just so it's weird to me. It is. It's so
definitely they're both executed by the Department of Revenue, alcohol and cannabis at the same time.
Yeah. And the truth is, obviously in cannabis, they don't have as many employees. That was part of the law and the bill, to have only 32 employees to run the entire department. And they found that's, sorely understaffed. But it is what it is. And I asked the question, well, how can you be giving random inspections when there are people 6 months, behind on their regular renewal? Because you can't get at that either, and of course there's no response. They're definitely taking a lot of our money that as an industry, I felt we should stand up and kind of fight for it a little bit. So with, just knowing the guys in the Tavern Association, being a member, knowing how it works and knowing how like we're all very respectful of each other and we always help each other out at every turn. I'm hoping that we can do that with the marijuana industry, basically. Yeah.
So you think maybe the dispensaries will get an opportunity to open up casinos as well?
Yeah. Well, I kind of got one. My dispensary's in my bar and I've got my machines, but I'll tell you, my gaming machine, my pinballs make more money than the gambling machines.
Sure,
it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. But it's a family place. Nobody gives a shit there's a dispensary here. Everybody, in fact, loves it. There's another thing what I've been trying to do, and I've been kind of, pushing the Tavern Association on is being a bar owner. I would love to be able to sell cannabis drinks in my bar. Oh, I would just love it. Because I see them buy cannabis drinks in the dispensary. They're bringing it in the bar. I can't police all of it. You know what I mean? But I can see the opportunity because beer sales are lagging. Kids just aren't drinking alcohol, but they're liking the marijuana, So that's something that I'm just, talking to the Tavern Association about, meeting with people. And there's a national organization now called the Alternative Beverage Association, basically pushing marijuana drinks. And I was actually supposed to have a Zoom meeting with them yesterday, but it didn't happen. And I'm positive it was my fault. I fucked up on the schedule like I always do every day.
Yeah, most definitely.
Physical therapy, I show up on a Tuesday. It's supposed to be on a Monday. Haircut, same thing. It happens all the time.
Most definitely. So, quick question. I know everybody else has a few questions for you as well. With the, sort of the Taverns Association model and the stuff that you're talking about there, and with, doing the cannabis drinks, would that be a separate license that bars would have to acquire? And, how do you deal with the fact that there are, the cannabis licensees like you and I and everybody else who've already got those licenses, and now it may sort of devalue our business or proposition and turn those more in favor of the bars.
And that's fair. And we thought, and I've thought about that. And I've talked with an awful lot of people about it. It's, it'd be something where, obviously it hasn't been done before. So, but I mean, Minnesota's allowing hemp doing it, and other states are obviously going to do it. So it's like, it's same thing. Like why have Montana be 50? Why don't we be number 1 or 2? I propose a low, limit, low dosage, 3 milligram drinks. I'm not opposed to a limit on those drinks, even though we don't limit beer, but no package sales at all. My thought is, this would be a boon to the industry as far as it would just make it, it would normalize it more, without a doubt, and I look at some of these bars, rural bars where people just don't have access to marijuana or wouldn't, but they also, maybe their wife doesn't want them drinking anymore, but they can have a marijuana drink. I think a lot of those people would probably end up buying a 6-pack at their local dispensary. As far as the bars themselves, I suggested writing a bill contingent on the rescheduling of marijuana, because obviously there's a lot of issues with that. But, where there's money, there's a way. So if your dispensary can act as your distribution center, so once that bar buys it, it's out of metric. But the Department of Revenue, Department of Justice, it's up to the bar to report to them what they have.
Sure.
Now, if they worry about the money, because obviously I bank with a couple different banks and I've got 4 different businesses, and none of them will let me deal with the marijuana money. I can't trace it. None of it can touch anything, whatever. So the truth is, if you want to sell cannabis beers in your bar and deposit that money, you're basically going to have to bank at Stockman or Farmers or Clearwater. That'd be it. You just have to make that change if you think it's worth it for you. I think a lot of bars would probably decline, but I also think a lot of bars would absolutely. I mean, I've spoke with almost every bar owner in Missoula and the Flathead and all around the state, and there has not been one person opposed to it. Well, because they're seeing how, it's not only about the sales, it's about getting younger people back in the social scene. Because
so why not advocate for consumption lounges for cannabis facilities?
Yeah. Oh, and I think that'd be the same. I think you allow both. That's my thought. I really do. Because there's certain people that don't want to be associated with alcohol and don't want to be associated with weed, but they hang out together. And where can they hang out together? And Brian Porter, he's a part of the MRCA. He's from Green Fire and Zen. And he said the exact same thing, and I was just like, yeah, I get it. And I think we have consumption lounges. We just need to go ahead and work the rules and implement them, and I think it's a good idea to do it. And I think I would, if I was the cannabis industry, I'd probably do it before the bar started selling marijuana drinks. I think, I don't know who's really pushing for that. I know it just, you just got to talk to the legislators and talk to the rules and make it happen. Because the state, I believe, as far as I know, they can make it happen anytime they want.
I think so. I think the interim committee, some of the people on that, maybe the people to reach out to before the legislative session starts. I know there's some receptive people at the CCD as well. I had a pretty good conversation with a gentleman there who works on their legal side. He, actually brought up the idea of consumption lounges and made that a question that he brought to me, like, would consumption lounges help the cannabis industry? So, I'm definitely think there's some receptivity there from a lot of people for sure.
Well, yeah. And, also the DOR and the CCD, they're looking at regulating marijuana a lot like alcohol anyway, which part of it, I'm in favor, because what our association, the bills we're going to really work on are, our employees should have to renew every 3 years, like the bar, not every year.
Right.
That's just too much. I own a bar that does a couple $1 million a year. My license is $500.
Right.
My dispensary does $500,000. I'm paying $5,000. It's just
in medical days, we paid like $150 for a license. You added on a couple other licenses, you were out the door about $500, and they were still able to implement the program with much money, coming in. So,
and we can smoke pot in this show, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So you're right, and a lot of people, I think, don't know this fact. Every department in Montana can only operate off the revenue it gets through the fines and fees generated from that department. Okay.
Certainly.
So say the Montana fees, and we can all do the math, and we can all take a wild guess at what the fines are. And we know exactly how much money. In fact, I've got all the, the numbers. A senator had finally gotten these numbers for us. It took us a year because they didn't want to release any of this information. And, if they've made $3 or $4 million more than it took to run this, we all get an equal rebate from our license fee, but they will fight like hell to not give us that money. And that.
Oh, absolutely.
It is our money. And I've talked to 2 or 3 senators now that completely agree with me. And we'll see something will come out of that. I don't know what the sales were for 2023 still. Do you guys?
No, and it seems like they're really slow in getting those numbers out.
Yeah.
I have to imagine, just in talking to everybody in the community as we do, that sales have probably diminished a little bit as the market has softened across the state.
Well, and if you notice, okay, I've got, I don't know, 40 employees, and half of them are under 25, maybe more than that. They don't buy from me, and I give them a 40% discount in my dispensary.
Right.
They don't buy from me. They buy online. They buy 2-gram cartridges of THC marijuana.
Right.
For $20 to $30.
Yeah, and how do you compete with that? I mean, with
you don't
3% tax, because as well as I do, everybody's like, look, the consumer's paying that. Bullshit. We have to drop our prices to cover that 23% just to get them through the door. And even with a 40% discount, they're running out into the black market, or they're running online and buying stuff off, and who knows what kind of testing, what kind of anything behind it. And that's been my argument all along, that consumers really don't seem to be that concerned with the stringent testing regimen that we're.
Oh, no. I mean, that's something that legislators will bring up to me and say, well, don't you think people want to buy something that's safe? I go, bro, people have been buying marijuana for 100 years, not tested at all.
Jimmy, who grew it in his basement,
I bought all kinds of things that I didn't care if they were tested. I mean, Jesus Christ, who hasn't in America, So, but it is a big deal. In Whitefish, it's a 26% tax. So, and this, a lot of our dispensaries out there owe a lot of money for quarterlies. And the state gave them 2 years to pay these quarterlies. And I just heard that they switched it to 1 year. with no warning, saying
with
now
no
it's 1
warning
year.
whatsoever. Yeah.
And that's brutal. And we're going to keep getting treated like this unless we do get together and act like the Tavern Association, in my opinion. Have a strong bond and a good relationship with the community, with the legislature. You know, like one thing the Tavern Association does is they donate $50,000 a year to gambling addiction help, you know. And if we were able to do something like that, you know, we deserve a seat at the table. And that's what it takes. And I do think a lot of people don't really understand how that kind of stuff works. You know, why we get bullied around so much. What are we really doing for people?
Tax, right? I mean, we're so much of the tax has to be spent on drug addiction and
we're already doing it.
So
but same with alcohol tax. Alcohol tax does it too.
Yeah.
But the Tavern Association goes above and beyond just to make more friends and get more things their way. I mean,
Sure.
You know, a lot of people die on our roads from drinking and driving an awful lot. And how many bars have been closed down because of it?
Well, yeah. You know, I mean, I think
if they had no association, if they had no unity, they'd be out of business. It'd be you know, they wouldn't have anybody backing them up. I mean, it's a big deal to have that unity.
Most definitely. Well, you guys got any quick questions?
I mean, I definitely say, you know, if there wasn't such a harsh tax on the dispensaries and all those hard regulations, you know, they probably have more capital to do things for the community and outreach programs and contribute to things kind of like the Tavern Association does.
And, you know, I would think, you know, getting the Tavern Association involved in things like that, there would be some sort of argument if it's regulated the same way that the taxes and everything like that collected should be very similar in the same way, you know, and that cannabis lounges are a good stepping stone in that direction because the open consumption of cannabis is still technically illegal outside of private premises. So that would, I mean, I don't know how that works on the bar law side, but that would at first make it difficult to consume the cannabis drink, being a cannabis beverage, in the public place.
Yeah.
But like if we could start to work towards, you know, the proper channels of getting the lounges and opening up public consumption, at least within, you know, fine spaces like taverns and things like that, that would be pretty legit.
Well, Ed, you have been in this game as long as I've known you, many years, and you have seen the whole gamut. We put this on for the same reason. We thought we need to get everybody back together, stop fighting each other, and work as a team, all of us. And so that was the whole point of this Budcast completely. I
think it's a really good idea too.
It is to get everybody in the market, not just the dispensaries, not just the growers, not just the home growers, not just the Height and Harvest or the grow stores. It was for absolutely everybody in the community and how to grow that together. But even growing this, we've gotten so much pushback from our own people. And it's the craziest thing. We don't allow any negative, no nothing, but it's all.
I know.
It's crazy. Do you really think?
Oh no!
What do we need to do to pull everybody together? I mean, I'm at this point ready for sledgehammers and little rubber mallets. I'm Looney Tunes stage.
What I've done is, you know, the contract I have with my lobbyists. You know, I took 2 trips around Montana, tried to raise money in membership, and I've decided I'm just going to take my money and pay for it, and whatever else I can get, I can, because I know it needs to be done. I also know that people just don't understand how a lot of this works, and people are working very hard to make as much money as they can, and they're not making the money they thought they were going to make. And the truth is, they need this. We need to change a lot of these we just need to change a lot. And I know Pepper says, "Hey, this is what we asked for. This is what we wanted." And I would say, Pepper, no, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want this. I didn't agree to a 20% tax. I mean, this is going to drive the black market. And by lowering it, like California actually lowered the tax. Liberal ass California lowered their tax because the argument was the black market was kicking the ass and the state wasn't making the money. Now, the state wouldn't be in arrears with all these dispensaries if the tax wasn't at 20%. You know, in most places it's 23 or 26, you know?
Well, and like I try to point out quite frequently, we deal a lot with the Small Business Administration, and they talk about if a small business actually has 21% profitability, they're doing extremely well. I mean, that's like of the level.
That's what you shoot for. I'm in retail.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so you look at it, you look at the fact that you have a 23% tax you're already 2% underwater. I mean,
my dispensary is not 20%.
Right, exactly right.
I mean, that's the thing. When gosh, like when you're talking about before you started the Budcast, and you get a lot of shit, and I've done I don't know how many of our fish tanks and our Montana listens, and I get a lot of shit from like the left because I talk to some Republicans. Well, Jesus Christ, I mean,
we have that good dialogue.
I mean, and fuck, some of these people are my friends, and I mean, this is what's wrong. It's what's wrong, and it's funny. Yeah. If you put yourself out there like this, you get arrows, but obviously you guys don't care. I don't care. I mean, I get some funny looks at Home Depot for sure. Some people do not like some of my jokes and whatever. And I get it. It's not for everybody, but I'm not, I'm not really I'm picking on everybody. That's what I mean. I think that's the way to do it, but back to like, when, Pepper said, this is what we asked for. I got to be honest. I know a lot of people that didn't ask for it. Of course, we're happy it's there, but I do think it's about time. Getting back to why I started this, we can't let another session go by where nobody's actually trying to pass something that helps us. So, real quick, this is what we're looking at doing. Our main goals: extending our hours, limiting the inspections to to a complaint-driven a surprise inspection, random inspection. So not anonymous. We want to make it where it's a legit complaint, like a bar, because I don't ever get them in my bar. You know what I mean? And you don't ever get them in your hardware store unless somebody's complaining. You got an old dude working in the hardware store looking at little kids. You're going to get a complaint. You're going to get inspected. I get it. Something goofy going on in his dispensary, be inspected. I mean, I got 2 dispensaries. One of them I opened in 4 weeks. I was open 4 weeks. Did like $1,800 and it's just this very small store. I got a random inspection that quick. So anyway, we'd like to see that with a little more common sense. We'd like to lower our fees. We can prove that they're making enough money on this, on everything else. So that would be nice. God, I'm smoking some of the Juju something mints, whatever. God, I'd love to go in a marijuana store and just say, can I just get something that gets me pretty stoned?
and to go to many marijuana stores
still bug me, But anyway, just things that we think that are very reasonable to ask for to help us get more money for them, because that is what it is. We're making more money for them. We're all working for them. And I know a lot of people, by extending their hours either in the morning or at night, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's a lot of money. Allowing us, what can we do with advertising? Let's get that conversation started.
Advertising is a big deal.
It is. And that's another thing about the THC drinks in bars. Well, that's a way to advertise without advertising. I mean,
well, really. Yeah, and I think like you were talking about the educational component and stuff like that, being able to contribute to the community, put out other stuff. I mean, we're not even allowed to talk about anecdotal stuff, supposedly, and which I disagree 100%. I've challenged that actually through the CCD. I've asked them to show me where in the law, the rules, it says anything about anecdotal statements. And if they can find that for me, I'm still waiting to see it. But, the fact of the matter is even in bars, taverns, liquor stores and stuff like that, there is a level of advertising that the community has accepted and they're acceptable with. I think cannabis businesses should at least have that level playing field as well.
Oh, and all things mentioned on the podcast are for educational purposes
only.
Now that Nate brings it up,
that great disclaimer.
Yeah.
That way, we don't get shut down.
But yeah, you were saying, Ed.
I forgot, man. I'm stoned. No.
Great thought.
But just the simple things that we don't want to go out there and be world changers. We're not going to try to piss anybody off. But the goal is to talk to enough legislators. And the one thing I'll tell you, and I'll tell your audience too, that I've interviewed about 60 politicians since we started our 2 different podcasts in the last year and a half. And they say that people, it's about, most of them say I'm the only one that they've ever talked to in the marijuana industry, to be honest. Like the ones I've talked to, like, oh yeah, nobody talks to me. I'm like, wow, they don't, not randomly or send an email with a question, because like, I grew up in a different world, because it was, I don't know. It just,
I think we had a lot more organization back in the day, Ed. We had, calling chains into the senators and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When we first started the MTCIA and had that going, we had a lot of pressure, and we had a lot of people who were involved. We had a lot
Masterson was really good at that stuff.
Oh,
remember?
yeah, he was. Yeah, no, he had
really good.
Everything else like that. I mean, he was very masterful to his namesake, at putting that shit together for sure.
Speaking of the MTCIA, and I mean, you got the MTRCA now. What are some similarities and differences in the two? I know, like, you were a part of that one. So what was that one? And tell us a little bit about what is going on with, like, the transition there, and, like, what's the differences?
Well, like, Tara is the president. She's a pretty good friend of mine. In fact, 2 of her kids work for me. And I think they are the kind of people that are buying this marijuana cheaper online. Don't tell Tara. But my specific focus is retail. That's it. The MTCIA is going after everything. Always have from day one, because there hasn't been anything else really doing it, and then the guild is out there too. In my personal opinion, the guild's going to do what the guild is going to do. Yeah. I felt very disappointed by the inaction last session, big time. And I've met Ted in the past. I think back in the 2009 and 11 sessions, I think he was like controlling the Democratic Party. He was the president of the Democrats or something. Yeah, he was something like that. Whatever. I'm not saying these guys are bad guys or anything like that, but nothing happened. And I don't know if they didn't have membership. I don't know if they didn't have money. I don't know if they didn't have a relationship. I don't know. And it's not like they're going to tell me. So if I want to do something about it, I felt I had to do it myself. I'm not trying to compete with the MTCIA. I'm not trying to compete with the guild at all. I would love to know what each actually stood for, because everybody knows you can't do everything. There isn't a meat association. There's poultry, there's beef, there's pork. I mean, that's the way the world works. And in marijuana, I don't know why we would think it would be any differently. You can't have one all-encompassing, because growers have no interest in what retailers are doing. Retailers absolutely don't care about growers in the real world. It's just the way it is. They want the retailers want growers to be fighting over each other and lowering their prices of weed, because that makes retailers more money. It doesn't mean they're evil. It means they're capitalists, and you're in business to make money. And it surprises me that the growers really don't have a huge bond out there, because our wheat growers do. I mean, our fruit growers are.
That's what I think it's sort of the way that the cannabis industry sort of was set up, though, all the way from the beginning.
Yeah.
You basically have to be vertically integrated. Like you said, you have to produce the beef, the chicken, the pork, all at the same time, and you have to process it all in the same plant. And so it's sort of hard to break those apart. And as well as I do, the cannabis industry was not only just supposed to deal with the industry association, was not only to deal with just marijuana itself, but the hemp industry and all the things that they're struggling through. I mean, they just got defrauded by a large amount and just won a major settlement. And we were supposed to be on track to help them out a long time ago with some of these issues and stuff like that, bringing some of these outside sources and businesses that are looking to expand in the markets into Montana and work with some of these Montana farmers, ranchers, businesses that are willing to produce hemp, willing to produce all kinds of other things. So I think there's still a really good place for what you're doing, a really good place for what they're doing. And, we had a lot of separate organizations all trying to do a bunch of different shit before the MTCIA was, culminated. And it just seems.
I just found my Montana Growers Association hat from 2008. I just found it in my garage that I moved out of the house. I have it. It's on my wall. Jim Gingery gave it to me.
You're gonna have to put that sucker in a museum somewhere.
Yeah. Well, we'll have one someday. But you're right, and that is something that there's so much going on. Because it's not vertically integrated anymore. And it's a different world. There's, people got to fight for what really matters to them. I don't know. I really don't like being, felt as if I'm just not a legitimate business person and we all know how the inspectors and the state have made us feel. And that's not everybody. There are people in the CCD that I really think are great people. There's people in the DOR that are great people. But in my opinion, too, there's a lot of departments in our government right now that are kind of in disarray. There's not a whole lot of fun going on. There's not a whole lot of leadership. It's just a weird time to be here, I think.
I agree with that 100%. And I think we've seen that a lot on our end, too. from the inspections, from a lot of just dealing with, you know, the CCD in general. It seems like they're always trying to figure it out, And it's like, most of you guys have been involved in the medical marijuana program. Now this program, why do we have to figure it out, know the rules by heart instantly the minute you drop them? But, you know, you're still 2 years into this game and trying to figure out how to get the inspections done and everything else like that. I appreciate what you're doing, but I would go one further. Unless I am out of compliance, or you can see that there's some way that I'm out of compliance, I don't think I need to go through an annual inspection over and over and over and over again for you to check out my SOP, just to look at it, flip it open, take a picture or two, and walk out, and then drop a couple of fines on me because an employee forgot to sticker this, or an employee,
I completely agree,
do some process crime stuff. Yep. And so I think we need to really drop and dial back these inspections. I mean, if you have a complaint, like you're saying, maybe that's the time to go after it.
I want to find them for their errors as much as they find mine. We actually got a deficiency with somebody else's name on it.
It was from a totally different company. They sent us.
Yeah,
it's bad all the time. Our inspector's going to quit. The fourth inspector in 3 years, he's going to retire. He's just going to quit. He can't stand it. It's just those guys. It's not a fun job. I mean, it's like, you know, it's weird. You're right. Like, there's things I got 10 deficiencies on 10 groove carts. So I called Nick right away. I go, dude, I don't want this to affect other people. He's like, it's affected nobody. We had our inspector with the same inspector you had. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So of course they took him away, but they did it in the first place. Like, think of the waste.
Well, and the time that you have to do in order to get into that. And I think Daniel, he wanted to chime in here because he's really big on fraud, waste, and abuse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The CCDs, I don't know. None of their programs have any common sense to them. I think that we've talked to Elizabeth about this in the past, but honestly, in my opinion, I don't think we need to be tracking plants from seed to sale with these.
No,
tags.
Colorado did.
Of course not.
No, the whole process is just fraught with
all of it's waste, and we make the argument it is waste, and the conservative government of Montana should accept that.
Yes. Yeah, it's extremely
that's a
wasteful.
new tag for every stage, by the way.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
You can't use the same tag. You know, like if I'm going to transfer it from facility or something, I've got to take it from a plant, turn it into a package, take it to the other facility, turn it back into a plant, and then harvest it, turn it back into a package. It's just like, how much more can you go through?
It's bonkers. Okay, Nathan, here real quick, I'll tell you. You know remember how when we used to buy, like, say, Sinful, and you'd get like a couple different flavors, and then you had to resubmit the label that they already submitted, and pay another $25. Well, I never did that. I never did.
Nor did I.
Why don't you do that? He goes, why wouldn't you do that? I go, because you'll never find me that much money. What would it cost me to pay $25 for a label? I am a retailer with 20 different brands in my store. Right. I go, do you know how much $25 a label would cost over the course of a year? We're talking $80,000 to $100,000. Are you going to find me that much? He goes, nope. And they changed that rule.
The reason they changed that rule is because we actually challenged them. And to her credit, Courtney Crosgrove at the CCD listened to me. We sat down and we talked about it. And we actually refused to do the same thing. We were doing it. And then we said, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. We called all of our wholesalers, including Sinful, and we said, send us your approval letter, because the law actually states I just have to have an approval letter. It doesn't, it has to be to me. And so that package and product was already approved. You know, she said she agreed with, particular points, give her a couple of months. Right after that, they sent out the guidance that, hey, get the wholesale letter, and then everybody's good to go off of that one letter.
That wasn't until after they did try to fine us for Sinful.
Right. And
directly only Sinful. But they didn't go after our Lionhearts. They didn't go after any of our other wholesalers at all. Just Sinful.
Yeah. So, we dealt with that exact thing.
My one store here in the bar is 170 square feet. They spent 6 hours inspecting it, and I got $12,000 in fines.
6 hours. Holy smokes. You know, and I mean, that's a major disruption to business to have somebody sitting there employees going through. I mean, your whole entire day is basically shot to shit for
Yeah.
trying to
Well, they
wait
said
on-
your metrics shut down and you won't be able to sell. I go, oh, I'll sell. I'll write it down and I'll put
Right.
it in when I make. He goes, well, you can't do that. I go, okay.
the law actually states you can.
I
During
mean,
times of outages, you can write it down.
I'm just like, what the hell's going on here? And so, because to me, well, I kept a lot of my product in my beer cooler in a separate thing locked, but it wasn't, with a camera and all this. I mean, I knew that I wasn't doing a lot of the right things, but I didn't care because none of that shit made any sense to me or anybody I knew, and then I weighed out the fines and what it would cost. And I'm like, you know what? If it makes my life easier, I'll pay a couple grand. I really will. And, maybe that's not super smart. And of course I got a lawyer. You have to, and I got a great lawyer and I ended up paying a couple grand. It's not, but just to go through that hassle and that bullshit. Yeah, you're right, Nathan. We shouldn't even have them. I mean, and testing for child trafficking. Stop. Human trafficking. Stop. That's something we don't need to test for. Okay. So I'll just let you guys know for sure. I'm going to work very hard. Our lobbyists are really good guys. They've got a lot of really good contacts. They've got a lot of friends. And we're going to really try to we need to ease some of these regulations on us. And we know for a fact, a lot of Montana politicians are into easing regulations. And now that this has been part of our lives for a few years, we're getting used to it. We know it's here to stay. Yeah. We just have to make good arguments and be good stewards.
Awesome. Well, we certainly appreciate all of the knowledge, everything you're doing out there. I would love to catch up with you in the background and see what we can do to collaborate to get some better cannabis laws for sure.
For sure. And if you go to Helena, my other podcast, we're supposed to do a couple from Bullock's Bar, and maybe one we do about weed would be pretty cool.
I'm down for it.
So
let me know.
I'll let you know. I mean, we're going to be busy. Covering the session is going to be pretty ridiculous.
I think this session is going to be pretty interesting to see how it all plays out. I mean, you got a lot of stuff in play. You got a lot of people trying to get stuff into Montana. Of course, we're going to have the interim committee. They've already drafted their rules and stuff. How much is that going to be modified? How much is it going to be adopted? I mean, we've seen that with House Bill 68. I mean, they had everything drafted, ready to go. They were going to throw it through, and then all of a sudden we wound up with Senate Bill 423, and everything went to shit in a hurry.
I mean, and that's the one thing is you need multiple people on this stuff, watching it and paying attention and being there. You just do. You really do. And and I know all my managers and my girlfriend, and they know that, I'll be taking the camper van over there quite a bit. And, it's nothing that I really look super forward to, but I do have a lot of contacts, know a lot of people. I care a lot about this. And I think just with the right messaging, I think we'll get some things we want. I don't think it'll be like last session. That's the truth. I just don't.
We need something. We need power. We need
power
behind each other. We totally gave up on each other a long time ago. And I blame the CCD because we weren't allowed to sell to each other all the way through the whole medical stuff. They kept us apart on purpose. We were divide and conquer, and they did. They divided us against each other. You couldn't do anything. It's just your little shop, whatever you could create, and that was it. But you had your own manufacturing license. You didn't have to have all these testing or inspections and all this other things. People could do it all themselves.
Unfortunately, some people blew themselves up.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, I know. I'll just say there's one thing, and I'm sure, Nathan, you remember from back in the day, I would say at mostly every meeting. The people that own Taco Bell, Burger King, McDonald's, KFC, Domino's, they all compete with each other on TV and argue, but they're behind closed doors. They're all friends. They own islands together. They go on cruises. They spend billions of dollars and own helicopters.
Yes, and that's where we need to be as a cannabis industry here in Montana, because we're going to have a lot of outward pressure that's coming. If the interim committee bill does not get passed, there is a possibility that in 2025, some of these bigger cannabis companies from around the world, not just, here in the United States.
Well, and just think of this. This is one thing I forgot to bring up, but I wanted to. We need to actually think about if it does go to Schedule 3. Now, I don't know if Trump's going to do it or not. I really don't. And I don't think Harris, I wasn't real confident in her anyway.
No.
But think about when it does, because in the Oregon weed that that some of our dispensaries are bringing into their stores for a couple $100 a pound, and they're getting it in a metric and they're selling it. We all know what happens.
Oh yeah.
Once it gets to a different schedule, holy fuck, there's going to be no fear. There's already no fear.
There already is other.
Well, and I mean, think about all that. I mean, shit, Wild West just got shut down with their
Thank God.
and
Did
shit
they
like
finally get shut down?
Yeah. But it took almost a year for them to get shut down. And I mean, there's so many other places like that popping up. And in New York, they're dealing with this very problem. They shut down one, illegal dispensary, 10 more pops up, and I mean,
I've heard that.
Constant problem.
They're
starting to see
in North Carolina that owns a tobacco shop down there. And he said he owns 4 similar shops in New York, but they all sell cannabis from behind the counter, and they just keep about a pound or 2 in there. And when they come through, whenever they rarely do, and confiscate the cannabis and give them a ticket, they just go out and grab another pound from out of the trunk or whatever and bring it inside and then sell it. And he'll make $20,000 or $30,000 a day in those stores just off of that cannabis, not even tobacco pipes or tobacco products.
Yeah, we're fucked up in Montana, buddy. We might need to go to New York.
So I personally think that opening up the industry to the bigger market. I just look at Montana's microbrewing and in the beer industry, and I think we kill it in the microbrewing beer. And
oh yeah,
when I drink beer, which I don't do it anymore, but when I did,
so sad.
I drank the microbrew stuff. I drink it. I think that's only going to better Montana. I think we have it's overflooded with a bunch of mediocre product. And I think if we let the bigger companies take over that mediocre product, I think Montana's cream will rise to the top, and we will have some of the best cannabis in the United States. I think that about Montana and our grow environment, from outdoor weed to indoor, it doesn't matter. I think we have great conditions to grow good stuff.
Yes, I'd agree. I'd put Montana's weed up against anybody in the world. And I think, there's some producers out there who are doing quite a really good job. I got to say real quick, Rob McCoy is in the chat, Ed, and he wanted to say hello to you.
That's Bugs.
That's Bugs right there.
In the chat. Rob's here.
Yeah, Rob McCoy is here. So he was our guest last week.
Is he Bugs?
He is Bugs. That is Rob McCoy. That's Rob and Andrea McCoy.
Oh, he's hey guys, what's going on? It's been 10 years? Oh, more?
Been a minute or two for sure.
Wow, that's really cool. That's super cool. Yeah, when I went to the I'm really allowed to donate. I went to that show in Billings, and it was nice. I saw you guys and a bunch of people I haven't seen in quite a while. And then I saw Kate from the MTCI, and she started jumping on me and like being mad at me for stuff. And I'm not here trying to compete. Like I said, I'm not trying to compete with anybody. Man, I want the best for everybody. I want a great retail experience for everybody. Our customers want to see this tax rate lowered. There's a lot of people. I know a lot of lobbyists, a lot of people, even my own lobbyists laugh, say, "Yeah, right, it'll never happen." I'm like, dude, they said that in California. The people have to speak on it. Everybody we know, we got to get everybody noticed. Just write their senators, write their legislators. Say, hey, man.
What we're going to have to educate them moving forward is like, hey, you're the one who's actually paying this. This is coming out of your pocket. So if you want to put in your pocket and you would like to get, a little more weed or get a few more carts with every purchase, get a hold of your and make sure that they know and they understand, like, look, we need to drop this down. So my spending power is a little more. And the conservative governor and the conservative, legislature should really understand that point right there. The spending power of your fellow citizen matters. And we should not be strapping Montana citizens with a 23% tax for purchasing anything, considering we do not have a sales tax and we put constitutional initiatives against sales tax.
Yep. And on top of a discounted item to still charge the full tax on a discounted item. It's insane. Right. It's pure insanity, And
really as you said, as far as the Gill goes and pepper and stuff like that, I voted for cannabis. I knew exactly what I was voting for. I knew that there was going to be some sort of a tax, but I was figuring a 3 to 5 to 8% tax.
Yes.
Nominal, but 20% tax is absolutely insane.
And then to add another
3
or
6 or 5 or 20% on top of it. It's like, at what point, does this business actually belong to me? And I'm just the manager for a government business?
Well, we've got a lot of work to do this session. We have grown up a lot, and hopefully, the bad actors just aren't there, and they just meet enough respectable business people and make these allies. Like from what I understand, the Bloom is now 70% owned by a Mormon-owned company. That's a big deal,
Right.
So I only can imagine that they're going to be lobbying and doing something to make it better for them. They're not stupid. They make a lot of money,
Well, hopefully they can come and tell the Billings
They know how to play the
crowd
game,
exactly
for
what's
sure.
up, and they can listen up on us a little bit, because if they allowed, that's the other thing, is these restrictionary zonings, and I think we need to talk about those a little bit. I mean, you have people in Billings who really would love to have dispensaries inside the city limits, and that's the customers, not
it's
just
so dumb. The highest crime rate in the state, and they won't allow dispensaries, which no crime is associated with. It's so dumb. It blows my mind still.
Yeah, absolutely.
Billings is so fucked that way. I mean, they got fucking whorehouses still there, but you can't have a dispensary in town. Jesus Christ.
Well, when we were younger, actually, they still allowed, hookers to walk Montana Avenue here in Billings. The thing about it is, I mean, you drive down Montana Avenue, your parents are like, don't look, Jimmy. Like,
somehow
weed is looking, bro. Like, hold up. Like, I don't know what. I'm a teenager now. Like, let me get a peek.
Somehow weed is worse, I guess.
Street and times were fun. I think I was born too fucking late.
You were born way too late, brother.
I've seen hookers on the street, nor have I seen
That was when we were kids.
So like, damn, man, I missed that.
That's a fact.
And we're not that old.
I grew up in the middle of cornfields in Wisconsin. I never saw anything like it. I heard about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ed, we're about 46 minutes in. I certainly appreciate every minute of you have. We'd love to get you back here before the session and maybe during the session. I'd love to join you out there in Helena as well. Maybe sit down and rap. And if I get up there to Whitefish, we'll have to sit down and drink a beer together.
Oh, for sure. For sure, you guys. No, thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
You're welcome to stay. We just got to start our other parts.
We got Stone.
I gotta go. I'm looking at my security cameras, and I gotta go.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for your time.
All right, thanks a lot, you guys.
Nice meeting you.
Have a good one, mate.
All right, folks. Well, I think it's about time for us to jump into Strain of the Week.
Strain of the week.
What do we got over there, Danny? Tell us a little bit about what we're going to be jumping into, man.
Okay, we are going to be jumping into our wonderful Durban Poison, of course, a classic land race from the South African port city of Durban, South Africa. Of course, that's going to be your pure sativa. Has gained popularity worldwide for its sweet smell and energetic, uplifting effects. Legendarily, despite the fact that this is a landrace strain, it is known to test in the upper 20% range, which is quite impressive for a landrace. It's extremely potent. Some of those aromas that you're going to be associating with that, some of the phenos that you could get if you decide to grow it: earthy, pine, pungent. What is pungent? Can we discuss that? Anyway, moving on. Spicy, sweet.
All right, that is not a
yeah.
No, that's a description.
Who wrote this? No, I'm just kidding.
Joint is not a letter; it's a word.
It was a copy paste. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I'm
prereading.
just kidding. It's pretty funny. Durban Poison. Let's see. Discovered the original strain. Ed Rosenthal. I do want to get a little bit into the history here before we get into that video. Ed Rosenthal, an American cannabis activist, wasn't he the one involved in Jack H as well?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Apparently, discovered the original strain and brought it back into the United States in the 1970s, which is pretty incredible. That Ed Rosenthal has been an important part of the industry.
Yeah, putting out the Grower's Bible, all kinds of other stuff. The thing
How
that
crazy
hits
is
me
it
about
that
the Durban
it's-
Poison. Whoops, sorry, go ahead.
How crazy is it that it's like open knowledge that this man broke international law?
I know, right?
Which we are all grateful for, by the way, not dissing it or anything, but it's just like open knowledge, and there's never been any
Statute of limitations.
the great pioneers.
Even
That
people
was-
in the government were like, no, dog, that's a good strain. We appreciate it.
That's a good
Or
strain.
allegedly.
Shut up. Shut up.
Allegedly.
You know, I mean,
It's
this guy had to
allegedly.
go all the way out of the country and smuggle this seed in. Who knows how he smuggled it in or anything else like that. I mean, and you got to think about today how spoiled we are. You know, I mean, you can go out and buy like a half ounce and get tons of seeds in it.
I know, right?
Especially
Only
yeah,
from some places.
Yeah.
I know this one spot out in Lockwood, man. They built this huge building to
hold all the
their fucking
seeds.
weed, dude.
I know a couple people that got so many seeds for their home grow
You know,
that
it is.
we just tried some of.
It's funny, actually. That's true. But it is funny you guys say that. I've actually had customers walk in and complain, like, "Damn, you guys, you know, in this new age of weed, you keep it all so clean. There's nothing for me to grow in the bag anymore."
No
And I'm
bag
like,
seeds.
sorry, old man. You're gonna have to keep coming back.
Might get lucky.
Yeah, maybe we should have a little more
Very
bag
early
seeds.
on, they were like, we got to make sure these folks can't just keep growing this at home because, you know, it does kind of grow on trees.
Yeah.
Let's
for
eliminate
sure.
the seed.
You know, maybe that
allows
could
them
be
to
the
grow it.
bonus. Just like throw a seed in, you know, the bag every once in a while. Just,
Yeah.
There you go.
You'd have to
Speaking
fucking
of,
tag it and shit, and then, yeah,
Exactly.
you have to tag
I can
it,
see the
package it, and
CCD
scan
like
it.
scanning me out.
Speaking of bag
23%
seed,
tax rate on the fucking seed.
let's watch that video real quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's take a moment to take a smoke break and look at this video for Durban Poison.
Durban, the African sun came a strain so sweet, now it's loved by everyone. Around the chunky buds, covered thick in frosty light. Take a hit, feel the spark like a fire in the night. Oh, it's fuzzy and sweet with the bite of the breeze. Set your mind on fire, brings you right to your knees. And running back, yeah, back in the day. Now we're grooving and we're lifted in the best kind of way. Turning poison, lift me high through the clouds to the open sky. A touch of euphoria, creep, positivity flows. With every hit, the energy grows. Stick with up to stay wild. Feel alive inside with German poison as my guide. In a 24 THC so pure, helps you chase away the pain, that's for sure. For the anxious hearts and weary minds, this potent friend is one of a kind. With an upbeat setting and a citrus twist, it's a heady dream, hard to resist. Through the hustle and grind of a busy day, Durban's got your back on what may. Durban poison lift me high through the clouds to the open sky. A touch of euphoria, cream, creativity flows. With every hit, the energy grows. Stick with up to stay wild. Feel alive inside with Durban poison as my guide. Durban poison lift me high through the clouds to the open sky. A touch of euphoria, creativity flows. With every hit, the energy grows. Stick with up to stay wild. Feel alive inside with Durban poison as my guide. Sweet as sunshine, but it's potent strong. Take a couple hits and you're already gone. A northern strain with a southern soul. Durban poison, yeah, you make me whole. Durban poison lift me high through the clouds to the open sky. A touch of euphoria, cream, creativity flows. With every hit, the energy grows. Stick with up to stay wild. Feel alive inside with Durban poison as my guide. For the dreamers, the artists, the ones who roll, Durban poison's got the power to bring you home. With a spark and a smile and a pine swing vibe. This is the journey, it's one hell of a ride.
There you go.
Welcome back, everybody. Who's bringing? What are we talking about?
Buy me a second.
Pungent?
Emergency, buy me a second team.
We're looking up the definition.
littering.
of pungent.
Sorry, we were just
Littering
littering and smoking some marijuana.
Okay, I'm ready. Perfect
Not
timing.
very
Excellent work,
due
guys.
taste and stuff.
Ed
Not
Rosenthal. We wanted to quickly talk about him. Obviously, a prominent figure in the cannabis industry. We kind of discussed a couple of his accomplishments, but let's go a little bit into more detail. So, Ed Rosenthal, American author, horticulturist, blah, 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 cannabis, everything, advocacy for the legalization of marijuana. He did a column in the High Times from the 1980s and the 1990s. And then apparently he was arrested in 2002 for the cultivation of cannabis by federal authorities who do not recognize the authority of states to regulate the use of medical marijuana. So he was convicted in federal court, but the conviction was overturned in appeal, setting the precedent for state rights to legalize cannabis.
Told you that was some dank ass weed, bro.
Dang. So it really is all his fault in the end. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks,
Like, you
Ed.
brought back weed. They'd be like, "Oh, he's in trouble." And then somebody was like, "Wait, that was some good weed." He's okay. We can let
He's
him go.
really okay, guys. He really is. Proposition 215, California, in 1996. 1 year after I was born. Age reveal. And
The same year your wife. Was born. He's old, guys.
damn. Think about that. We've been legal as long as you've been alive.
Yep.
Some people wonder why we think it's chill. Anyway. That's
So
all I have.
I
You
brought
didn't have
up
to
the,
backpack it through the woods like the rest of us.
No, it's just always been at the store. I don't know what everyone's freaking out about.
So
Yeah,
I brought up the definition over there for your pungent. So I was like, that we're talking about what is pungent, and the definition there is something that is pungent, has a strong, sharp smell or taste, which is often strong, that is unpleasant. So it is a description of a smell, but it is not in itself a smell.
Like goat cheese.
So gym socks would be pungent.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheese.
Well, I mean, yeah. It's just
What's your
something with a strong
favorite
smell.
pungent strain out there in the chat? We just talked a lot about the strain of the week, Ed Rosenthal. What are you guys smoking on? I know some people out there were smoking on some of Bugsy's stuff out there.
But
Hello,
for weed,
Facebook
we can agree
user.
Pungent is like a
TGIF.
compliment for sure. And like, dude, that's a sharp, strong, like fucking smell right there.
It's
Like,
offensive. Your weed offends me.
well,
Thank
no,
you.
it's not offensive. In something else, it would be offensive, but in weed, it's a good thing.
Yes. I would take it as a compliment to someone.
It's kind of like how the comedian from Sweden or whatever, he's like, I come over here and I'm learning the different languages. I gotta tell you, some of these words are difficult.
That's
You're like ass or shit. It's like if something is the shit, it is good. But if it's shit, it's bad.
Yeah.
And he goes through a whole long list and it's funny as fuck. He's like, man, you guys are confusing. So you say our languages are hard, but what the fuck?
Somebody's trying to figure out why they Facebook user in the chat.
Why am I a Facebook user? That's a
think
great
it's-
question.
We may have a lag there. Sorry about that, Facebook user.
Why am I
Yeah, it might
Facebook
just be doing that. It did that for mine earlier too. I see a bunch of them like that.
Oh,
Even
so
Mr.
when I
Burns
was
came
saying,
up as
"Welcome,
like a Facebook user."
So
Why am I Facebook user?
Sorry, folks. We're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah. It looks like
It looks like the internet's running it just a tad bit.
Our,
slow
our, our
today.
internet has been smoking just a little too much now.
yeah, stream integration.
Hot boxing a little bit
Yeah,
too much
too
in
much.
here. Everything's getting.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the baton straight over to Tanaki. Absolutely perfect transition. Go.
Yes. So with that, we will jump into some stoner trivia.
Yay!
Smoking like a Rasta, feeling so high. We talk about cannabis and getting fly. Are you smarter than a stoner? Let's find out. Listen up,
B, the
my
plant's
friends.
flavor
I
and
got
aroma
something to
compounds.
shout. Cannabis
C, the plant's
knowledge,
fibers.
let it flow through your mind. Getting blazed, smoking loud. We all unwind. Trivia questions, can you keep up the pace? Let's see if you're sharper in this smoky haze.
What is
We're back.
All right, and we are back.
We're back.
So we will jump into. Oh, is it
There you go.
okay?
Oh, Debbie.
Yay.
Okay.
Are you smarter than a stoner? Question
smart
number
stoners.
1. I can't say it.
Oh man.
I can't
Oh
read 'em ahead.
man,
What's going on? I can see him right
Damn,
here.
I'm gonna have to work on getting those a little bit larger.
Apical.
Yes. What is apical dominance in cannabis plants, and how does manipulating it impact the plant's growth? A. Apical dominance is the tendency of lower branches to grow faster. Topping the plant suppresses lower branches to encourage root growth. B,
Sorry, I'm trying to make your screen bigger.
It's fine.
uh,
I'm more
B,
worried about that.
apical dominance is controlled by the plant's production of ethylene. Removing the apical bud increases the formation of trichomes. C, it refers to the suppression of lateral growth by the main central stem. Topping the plant removes the dominance, encouraging even more growth of side branches. Or D, it causes the plant to enter early flowering. Trimming the lower leaves promotes upward growth.
I totally spaced out on all those at the moment. I was
See,
Watching the dogs.
yeah.
I
What
agree.
is
I vote C.
Dying for suppression of lateral growth by the beam percentage on top of the plant.
Someone else will have to tell us what we're getting in chat since I cannot see it.
Oh,
today.
okay.
I'm gonna look over and see what Calvin's got. I'm going to see. I'm going to see.
See.
I didn't hear the question. I can't catch up quite enough.
Well,
I know
good
he
thing they
knows
can't see the
answer.
chat, so they can't get in here because you're not my screen up.
I flipped the screen. Oh, yeah, that's
I
right.
think I know what's
So they can't see it now.
The answer is C.
Yeah, we got C's in the chat.
There we go. Show chat.
There you go.
C. S&B still shots hate. We didn't get all of our shout outs this week, but we appreciate each and every one of you guys out here this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, it's
all
kind of
for
hard
coming.
to shout out Facebook user.
I
But
know.
shout out Facebook user.
It's also
Hey, she said she's
Debbie.
Debbie.
It's
What's up,
Debbie
Debbie?
Potts out there. It looks like somebody.
SMB Still Shot says it's been happening all over today. So apparently it's not just us.
Ah,
Yeah,
It might be a
it's a
Facebook
Facebook
issue.
thing.
It's no.
So it's not our fault.
Number 2. In cannabis plants, what is the primary purpose of the cuticle layer, and how does its thickness vary with different growing conditions? A, the cuticle layer helps absorb nutrients. It thickens in nutrient-rich soil. B, the cuticle layer reduces water loss and protects the plant from pathogens. It thickens in drier climates to prevent moisture loss. C, the cuticle acts as a photosynthesis site. It thins in high light environments. Or D, the cuticle layer stores sugars and carbohydrates. It thickens as the plant matures.
We got,
I thought the
yeah, we
cuticle
got
was
the
that
dogs
fucking
over here
thing at
playing
the bottom
tug-of-war.
of your foot
Yeah,
or
sorry.
like
Sorry.
nail that got hurt, like if you like pulled your nail too far. Oh shit.
Yeah, sorry for the background ruckus. We have 2 dogs in here, and they keep randomly deciding it's playtime.
making
It's
constant
not quite.
cameo appearances.
Can't
Let's
stand
see.
sharing people.
I'm thinking
I'm gonna guess C. This is a guess.
we got them
for
all
me.
over in the chat. We got
Straight
D. I see a B.
you got a D, maybe.
I guess.
I'm
C.
guessing, but I'm going to say B.
I don't.
No, just sit.
We're all gonna be master
Got
gardeners.
some
by the end of
B's.
this.
B's in the chat.
Kanaki is working on it. She's gonna be like,
B in the
okay, little
chat.
did you know, but these actually were all test questions.
She's like, I know you guys are saying that disclaimer, this is for educational purposes only. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna get some
I-
education.
Yeah.
Guys, we've all
Y'all
graduated.
remember, y'all remember those bubble slotted ones where they just went like rows and rows of the bubbles that you had
Yep.
to fill out
Oh
every
my
year?
God, yes.
What I don't remember what those are called.
Scantrons.
Abacadabra.
Scantrons, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Little did you know you're going to be getting a Scantron with all of the questions I've done so far
Dude.
at the end of the season.
I'm
So,
failing.
Hold on.
I'm failing.
Ouch.
The correct
it out
answer
there
for
right
this
now.
question is B, though.
B. Okay, so it reduces water loss and protects the plant from pathogens.
It makes sense though, because if you think about, okay,
I guess I
when we start to
didn't know.
dry them out. This is what made me think about it. It's when we start to dry them out. What does our roots look like?
I started to get all hard and
They
thin.
start to get all hardened, but they start to get thicker. Those roots around the edge of the plant as you're pulling them out. They're
Yeah.
hard, thicker than the ones versus you get other ones that are thin
Thinner.
and not as stretched out.
Yeah.
So that's what
Interesting.
made me think about protection.
And it reduces
Well, I
water.
guess
Right. That's smart.
Which internal plant structure is responsible? Oh, yeah. Okay. Which
getting there.
internal plant structure is responsible for synthesizing cannabinoids, and how does it actively relate to environmental stressors? A, the root zone. Increased root stress leads to greater cannabinoid production. B, the leaves drought stress enhances cannabinoid synthesis in chloroplasts. C, the stem physical stress like bending increases cannabinoid levels. Or D, the trichomes. Environmental stress such as UV exposure stimulates trichome development and cannabinoid production.
I'm gonna
Quick with the answers around here. Everyone's showing D's.
guess B. This one is not a guess for me, hopefully.
Oh, wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah, I know, right? She's like, the answer? Hey, I will contest that.
The correct answer is D.
Man, you had me nervous for a
Yeah.
second. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, man, maybe I'm wrong.
All right.
I'm wrong.
Did that apple pie moonshot kick in?
Right. Yeah. You never know.
Number 4. What is the role of ATP or adenosine triphosphate in cannabis plants? And how does it affect the production of cannabinoids and other metabolites?
Oh my god, this is literally
Oh,
man,
Ronnie,
I'm
you
I'm
have
pretty
been
sure,
pulling
like,
out the stops,
Oh, I
dude.
got this
I
one.
think we've
Crush
got
it.
like a doctorate level of testing going on.
You know,
over
we
here.
gotta feel pretty good about ourselves.
She's like,
I've
Ed
seen-
doctor's on, so they're gonna get tested
I've seen a lot
hard.
of people online. I doubt very many people would be able to pass these questions as much as we do. They're tough questions.
A lot of the recent questions have been touching back on basic biology, and I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
quite funny.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay, so to read the answers real quick. A, ATP is stored in the roots and provides energy for flowering. Increased ATP boosts CBD synthesis. B, it fuels the production of terpenes and trichomes. Higher ATP levels lead to a more potent aroma. C, ATP serves as an energy carrier during photosynthesis, supporting cellular processes involved in cannabinoid and metabolite synthesis. Or D, it controls water uptake. Reduced ATP availability causes the plant to conserve water, lowering cannabinoid production. See,
Like everyone in the front desk is C
ATP is
D
the
in chat.
powerhouse of the cell.
of the mitochondria.
That's all I remember when you started saying
It's
ATP.
energy.
It just took me to a flashback of biology class. ATP is the powerhouse of the cell.
It's actually the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Mitochondria.
Well, it tells you how much I fucking paid attention in class.
I was just gonna say, man, I wish I learned finance because.
So what do we got out there in the chat? We got Mom and Skips. We got D.
No, we gotta change it. There you go. He's got C.
Change their answer to C.
B.
It was
a
just
D.
Yeah. Adam just
D.
my
Should
ability
have
to
had
show the camera.
D along with extra sugars and then
Yeah.
D.
Man,
The correct answer for number 4 is C.
Ah,
So I'm going to show you right here real quick. The actual giveaway is in the question and the answer. If you look at the very last point, cannabinoids and other metabolites, and you look in C, involved in cannabinoids and metabolite synthesis.
Oh,
we're going
what?
to teach
That
you
one
guys
wrote
how to
itself
take
out.
tests. We're
I'm
gonna-
reading comprehension over here.
Think about it.
You
Think
read
about
the whole
it.
thing?
We're unintentionally we're making you guys study. We got a half hour of weekly educational content. Over time, like you guys, we're gonna get you there. We're gonna get you all there.
and what did
Yep,
they used
and
to call it?
smartest
sometimes-
stoner in the
Standardized
room.
texting. They were like, look for the context.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the context clues, and sometimes I do try to match the questions up to who we have on.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Not always, but occasionally it crosses my mind, and I'll be like, "No, we're gonna do dab questions because we've got some dab doers on here."
Right on. Sick. Oh, yeah.
Well, is that it for the questions, huh?
That was all. Just
Ooh,
for this
man.
week.
All right.
But
Those
Right
are
on.
good ones.
Will you
I
please
feel
give
like
me back
you
my
were bringing the
pictures
heat
so they
last
can
week.
see?
This is like a jalapeno week.
Right, right.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's all
That,
right.
that was palatable.
Yes,
you
for
might
sure.
need just to wash it down with a little bit of beer.
Made you
not
think
like
a bit.
a whole lot of beer.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit of beer.
So,
tonight. That
You
was
said,
good.
for that.
But man, last week you were sitting on some ghost pepper shit. Holy cow! Those were
Oh,
What?
boys.
roughing it.
You guys had ghost pepper?
Yeah, I heard questions last week.
Oh.
Ghost peppers.
Oh,
compared
I
to
heard. I
whiskey
was like,
peppers.
what? You guys were eating spicy shit? And you didn't tell me about it? What the fuck? Man, I thought we were
No.
friends.
I love ghost pepper. I was watching a review of peppers online recently, and apparently ghost peppers are some of the most tasteless spicy peppers. And I think ghost peppers taste delicious. So
Yeah.
it makes me want to try
And
some
the
of
flavor.
these.
So I'm wondering who
Carolina
the people
Reaper is
who are-
delicious.
I'm wondering who the people is who are saying that it is no
People
flavor.
like
Is it
me
people
who
just
have no,
don't know
it just
how to
burns their tongue.
deal with the heat, and so they're like, yeah, this is flavorless.
The guy who was giving this review is the guy who designed the Pepper X or whatever. He's the one who bred it. He's actually bred most of
So
the.
does he think
peppers, the
Pepper
super hot
X has
peppers.
flavor?
I can't remember what his review of Pepper X was. Pretty sure that one was just supposed to be really hot.
There's
Yeah,
a Pepper X. We should eat Pepper X.
I will film you eating Pepper X.
We should do it on the show.
I will pay for a Pepper X and I will get it to you.
I mean, we all have to have a small piece.
No.
Yes, you-
White girl.
Okay, Adam,
No
I'll
Sunday
take a
March.
bite with you.
No.
I'll take a bite with you. I'll
Okay,
die.
I'm not
I'll
doing it
die with
alone.
you.
And she's
I don't
like,
wanna deal
I'm
with the
dying with you, bro.
consequences
Like,
of my wife having
Yeah,
pepper. She's
that's
gonna be
true.
miserable for days.
Days?
Lots
Like-
of milk.
Please help.
Days?
Pepto.
Maybe we just do Carolina Reaper. I don't know what X is. Maybe I'm fucking jumping
I'm
off a cliff
talking.
without
No.
information here. You're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
to me.
I told you I'd die with you.
why not just
So
do like the
we're
hot wing
actually
challenge, like we were talking about? You
I
know,
mean,
that
I
way
wanna
we
do
could
that,
we
for
could do the
sure.
graduation all the way up. Just order the box and like get the
Can we
stuff
do
in.
chicken nuggets with that?
Ooh, chicken nuggets.
I get all stumped up on just like regular.
See, I tried the
buffalo
one. I
sauce.
tried the chicken nuggets from Wendy's.
Infused.
I tried the
buffalo
Wendy's
wings.
chicken
By the
nuggets,
end,
and
you're
they
like,
got
I don't know
ghost
how
pepper
hot
in
this
there,
is.
not
I'm really stoned.
How about out there in the chat? What would you guys like to see?
Oh, look,
Like to
they've
see the
got
hot wing challenge. Like to see
the hot ones.
Adam
has a
eat the
Pepper
X pepper, or the Carolina Reaper.
We
Hot
don't
ones
throw
has
this
Pepper
out to
X.
the viewers. Viewers like to watch.
Yeah, they're
stuff.
like,
Right.
oh,
Well, that's why I threw
Pepper
Adam
X
under the
for
bus.
sure.
He
Oh,
will
okay,
eat Pepper
okay.
X.
Geez, funny how it's always, Adam, hold the snake. Adam, fucking eat the spicy shit.
I am going under the bus with you on this one, fucker.
Take one for the team, young man. Take one for the team.
How is Pepper X measured on 2.693 million on the Scoville meter?
Yeah, so like a jalapeno's
Okay.
like 2,000.
Let me see what
So there's,
I'm with Brandon Clark there. I bet you don't say it's that delicious the next morning.
No.
I was gonna say, are we allowed to do multiple day prep on other orifices? Because
Lots and lots of hemorrhoid
I'm
cream.
not excited for the next days after that.
That's
man.
why you eat the ice
Oh
cream,
my
so you got
God.
something to pray for.
So,
Hey, we've got
The-
butt cream. We're good.
Carolina Reaper held the record until last year when it was surpassed by Pepper X. I'm trying to see what the difference is here. The hottest peppers in the world versus
Yeah.
Scoville units.
Well, while you're researching that, let's do the news segment.
1.4.
Well, yeah, we can definitely do the
It
news
is
segment, but we
time
also
for-
need to remind everybody that we've got that hot box that'll be coming up with the seed of our Living Soil Alliance. Excuse me, weed and words, folks. And we will be getting more information out to you here in the coming months. But keep your eye out on that because that's going to be a 420 special.
So I just saw it, and it's supposedly twice as hot as the Carolina Reaper. Twice as hot, which if you put Carolina Reaper sauce on egg and make a sandwich, it's delicious. Neutralizes the burn, leaves all the flavor until tomorrow. But you still pay eventually, unfortunately. But I mean, I'd still be down because I did find that egg neutralizes burn way better than milk almost instantaneously. But I'm willing to try.
Okay, so we gotta
egg,
have
Pepper
eggs
X.
prepared.
Yes.
Good
Well,
thing
we gotta
know
take
people
it straight
who
out.
So like
Yeah.
some scrambled
can't
eggs
be
or
fucking
something.
Do it like
Like,
cheese.
good.
Like cheese. We'll
I'll
we'll
tell
get
you what,
close-ups,
Adam.
all the sweat, all the fucking pain. We'll do it.
Gut bomb like hell.
That doesn't sound good.
I would do a hot sauce challenge if I had the next couple of days off for sure.
We'll
Yeah.
eat it,
I would
and
eat
then we will, we'll chug a
I
bottle of
agree, but they're
Pepto and-
unpaid.
We need someone to watch the kids so we can.
I can't watch the kids and run a pot shop. It's rules.
All right. Well, let's run that news segment real quick, and then we'll get right into the news.
This update's fresh and real. Tune in with Nate. It's the big deal. Cannabis news with Nate. Let's go. Every story makes you glow. Stay informed. Don't be late. Cannabis
Fuck off.
Fuck you, Democrat.
Nope.
I agree 100%. Well, we're back with
Anyway,
the news, and we got another one for our blooper reel, folks. We just racking that shit up.
I was talking about the federal legalization, and hopefully we do something about it. It doesn't really matter who's in there.
Yeah.
I've been saying this to people for a long time. None of them are doing anything, either side. So you can say, "Oh, that one side doesn't do anything for our purpose," but I look back and say neither of them have done anything for our purpose at all.
Well, you know, I hope with the new administration having Elon Musk on board, you know, and him being a cannabis advocate, we're going to get a lot of support there. Obviously, Joe Rogan, a pretty big cannabis advocate, you know, Dana White, several others that are pretty close to the administration. But if you look at the support of, you know, Donald Trump before the election and Kamala Harris, both of them signaled that they were ready to do some sort of federal legalization. Donald Trump, even in Florida, despite the fact that that's going to be part of our news tonight, he actually also pushed for legalization there as well and supported that measure. So, you know, I mean, I think something has to give. Our legislators are really ready to get shit done. There's the banking bill. Obviously, the banks are clamoring to get into the cannabis business. So there's a lot of, like we were talking with Ed earlier, lobbyist push from banking industry, from all kinds of other industries that really want to break. Roles as some of the top sailors in the cannabis business throughout the country. So we talked not too long ago, everybody was after the pre-rolls. Now it seems like people are just more ready to sit back, take a sip, and chill out a little bit. So
it's very palatable, right?
Yeah.
It's palatable, but people are already used to drinking to relax. Not
I
just
agree.
drinking alcohol, but just drinking anything. Cup of milk at the end of the day, freaking water. You just sit and you sip on something. It's a nice, relaxing.
Talk about a nice night nap, dude.
Exactly.
So as far as the rescheduling goes that you were just talking about, that's item number 2. Unfortunately, and this is according to the Marijuana Moment, basically there is a researcher that is challenging the FDA, or excuse me, the DEA, from rescheduling marijuana. She is claiming that they have a biases and that they are basically doing it illegally, and it's unconstitutional for them to actually change it because, you know, I mean, apparently her research is more important than the rest of us actually enjoying life.
Oh, wow.
So, that's Dr. Sue Sisley has asked the federal to halt the DEA's marijuana rescheduling hearings and alleged that the agency is biased and even acted illegally. Sisley claimed the DEA's proceedings are a rigged show and wants to pull the plug. That's according to her. So, I mean, you're always going to have people out there that are shooting arrows and doing all kinds of crazy shit. Hopefully the judge will shoot this down and you know, say, listen, you know, even if it's descheduled, you're still going to be able to study it.
Right. Yes, exactly.
So what are you really fighting against? Apparently they smoking a little bit too much shit in Colorado Springs, bro.
Yeah.
Like, this is a great one. So in Colorado Springs, voters found themselves in a hell of a paradox. They're in Schrodinger's Cannabis Club. So they voted to actually legalize cannabis on one initiative, and they voted to ban cannabis on another initiative.
God,
so
I
they
love
legalized and banned it all in the same damn vote.
Yes.
So now it's up to the city council to try to figure out what they want to do, whether they're going to allow cannabis in city limits or not, because the voters can't really decide.
Oh my.
I mean,
They allowed 2 competing ballot initiatives, and one basically was to keep cannabis banned in Colorado Springs city limits. The other one was to allow them to get it. And so nobody paid attention to the fact to tell everybody, hey, don't vote for the ban. Well, enough people voted for the ban that it passed, and enough people voted for the legalization that
They're
it passed.
probably confused.
So now you
not
have a
knowing
very
which one was
conflicting
which.
law as
Yeah,
to
they're
do what.
probably, like, poorly informed, and it was probably poorly put on there and worded in a way in which helped them.
I'm sure
Not
none of that
understand
was
what's going
intentional.
on.
No.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of confusing ballot language and stuff like that. Like in Montana, it's sort of weird because it's almost like negative versus like a straight direct. You're either
Yes.
voting for or against, and I think we really need to clean up a lot of that for sure.
I
Boys.
didn't even, yeah, you could say even just like you said, negative or positive. Are you for cannabis or are you against it? You could vote yes to both of those. But they
Absolutely
mean
right.
totally different things.
So, cannabis treatment for opioid use disorder. Yep, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, move over methadone. Cannabis might just be the MVP as far as treating the opioid disorder. Covered by several researchers, they believe that pain relief and anti-anxiety effects make it a strong candidate for looking to kick the opioid dependency. They're seeing a lot less withdrawals, other things like that for opioid candidates when they're using cannabis. Seems to be less effective to their overall system because apparently coming down off opioids is a pretty bad thing and can have a pretty horrible effect on your body and your entire system. And so they're seeing that it's a great way to help bring people down and get them off opioids. And they seem to be sticking off of it a little bit better with that type of a treatment than methadone. So
I don't have any exact numbers off rip, but I was reading an article today that a study recently showed that people who consume cannabis have a lower tendency for alcohol, heroin, meth, all of the really scary drugs, in my opinion. So
yeah, I agree.
You know, there's certain old timers and certain organizations that refer to it as the marijuana maintenance program. You know, because there are tons of people in those programs that use marijuana for that purpose. I guess, you know, like you say all the time, modern science is finally coming around to what we have known all along.
Agreed.
I was watching Bert, that comedian Bert, is that Kreischer? Is that his
I
name?
wouldn't say so.
Yeah.
And then he was talking about how he had quit drinking, which is a big deal to him because he's like sponsored by an alcohol company or whatever. And the other podcaster looked at him and said, "How'd you quit drinking?" He said, "I tripled my cannabis use."
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's true though.
Same.
So-
it probably saved his life.
You know, I mean, I know a lot of people who have done that. They've switched from alcohol to cannabis and seem to be more of a positive impact on their life for it. And, you know, there's also people who can responsibly enjoy alcohol, enjoy microbrews like you were talking about. You know, and I think that drug and alcohol component and treatment component that we're paying for with cannabis is, a pretty important part of all of that for sure. The last bit of news that we have is there were 4 states that voted on marijuana measures in 2024, and a majority of them actually got shot down. Florida, actually, Amendment 3 failed to pass, gathering only 55.9% of the votes when it needed 60% to change the state constitution. If it had passed, adults 21 and older would have been able to use, buy, purchase marijuana. And one of the things that I do know is because this law did not pass, there are several cannabis stocks out there that have just absolutely tanked all of a sudden. So some of those big companies took a hit from anticipatory investments, and I don't think it's paying off well.
Dang.
So isn't in Florida's newly medical, right?
They're newly medical, and a lot of people are alleging that Governor Ron DeSantis down there actually used some state agency money to actually actively campaign against legalization of cannabis. I don't know, what the story is behind that. I haven't gotten too far into it, but I mean, they're obviously.
I think they'll stay. It will just take Montana took a few years of medical before they eased up to the idea of it being recreational.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I think with federal deregulation and stuff like that, some of that rescheduling, that's going to affect Florida anyway in some of those other areas, and it'll lessen it up.
Yeah.
So the other one, Nebraska, it's all about medical marijuana, as the Cornhuskers in Nebraska voted to approve both initiative measures 437 and 438, allowing for possession, use, and even regulatory commission to oversee medical cannabis, but recreational marijuana is still a no-go right now. So they're in the same position as Florida. Got to sort of build up, get the community used to it, get them understanding that the gummies aren't going to send them to the hospital. And,
Right.
I think it's important for Montana to figure out our system or get it better, working better, because just like, we look towards Colorado and California, to end up where we're at now and
Or
want
try
to
not
get
to
out
end
of
up
it.
like them.
Try to get them, so, like just a better system for everybody. If it's all going to be adopted as a kind of a national federal thing eventually. Anyway.
Yeah, we're kind of leading the pack. I've talked to you guys about this before, but not many people know Montana's been a cannabis state for almost 20 years now.
Yes.
Yeah.
We actually have 20 years. We
Yep.
hit 20 years just the other day.
Dang,
Or this year is 20
that's-
years.
Yeah, 20
So-
years of legal cannabis in this state.
Yeah, and we were as Trent Hancock and everybody brought to the attention, we were actually the first state to allow cannabis businesses to be registered as businesses. So we were the first state to actually have true cannabis businesses.
Right.
The one thing that they won't be having in North Dakota or South Dakota, yep, they're not going to be having cannabis businesses. Both
Even medical.
our neighbors to the east of us, North Dakota and South Dakota, decided they want to continue coming over to Montana and smoking some good stuff. So they can continue to come over to all of our wonderful establishments along the border over there and enjoy some great Montana cannabis. But unfortunately for our friends over there, you're going to be dry for at least another couple of years.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. And that is the cannabis news, and appreciate everybody tuning in. What's that? I think they have. That's a good question. I don't know.
We're finding out right now. It could have been some of that experimental Delta 8 shit.
That's what I also wanted to ask that guy here is the cartridges they're getting online, are they actually legitimate THC or
That's what he's saying. And the other thing about it is
well,
even if it's
tested, does he
THC,
know, or are they just saying
well,
it?
let's just think this through a little bit. Even if it's THCA and you heat it up, what happens?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you just activated.
Exactly. But there and I mean, I don't know what, I don't want to get into details. I don't know how these companies are getting away with it, but there's some sort of exclusion in the Farm Bill loophole that allows
Yes.
them to get away with this. I kind of thought that Montana had specifically banned it, but I suppose the internet is the Wild West, isn't it? So
Yeah, and I mean, it's pretty hard to keep FedEx from delivering something off the internet, and you get a VPN, and I mean, nobody really knows where you're ordering it from. So
it is what it is.
So South Dakota does have medical. They voted it in 2020.
Okay, well,
So for
still
4
on the
years
medical,
now.
but no recce.
That's a step in the right direction. Well, speaking of steps in the right direction, thank you all for stepping up to the plate to watch our 406 podcast this week. We appreciate everyone. Have a fantastic week, and
Stay lifted.
indeed.
Thank
Have a
you
great night,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you, guys.